Drop everything and clear those ears. It's time for the Dave and Dave Show. Here we go.
The doctor from the north. Jersey Dave, what do you say? What do you know?
We're trying. Got a little international kickball on here that I'm watching. Greece and England tied up in a good one. England took an early lead.
Fish and chips versus the Euro.
That's right. And, I love both. So that's actually a tough call. And that's why I went with a draw on this game, because I love fish and chips and I love gyros. Gyros. If you go to Astoria, Queens, and you say gyro, they probably won't serve you.
You're out. Like the soup nuts. You're out.
Gyros. And then when you go to Chicago and you're in the middle of Greektown and you say gyros, they think you're saying hero. It was so disappointing. I immediately disqualified Greektown and Chicago from being real Greek people.
It's really not a good Greek town, although there's some great gyros, especially, all us Guinness drinkers know that the later it gets, the tastier the gyros get, except, in the morning where that sauce, the white sauce, comes out to bite you.
A little greasy spoon up by Wrigley.
It's all delicious. The gyro dripping down. Lovely.
Good stuff. I just hit.
Good memories from old Chi-Town, my brother.
That's right. All right, let's get right into it. Are we going to recap? Are we going to talk about any of the craziness that went on last week?
I know you kicked royal ass in college football. You did very well, my friend.
Should have been 4-0. I really felt Wake should have covered on Friday night, but then we had all three on Saturday. So it was a pretty decent day of college. Still just treading water, maybe even drowning a little bit in pro football. But this week's games look fairly interesting, including one tonight, which we will get to later. Did you want to start off with a little kickball? Because, of course,
with all these breaks, you got to go crazy. It's driving.
Yeah, it really breaks up the flow of the season. And then when they come back, when these guys all come back, it's like, are the teams going to have the same kind of momentum that they built up before the break and not? And then they have a built-in excuse if they don't. If they don't continue to play well, if they were playing well going into the break, they come out, there was a 2-week break. Yeah, it's a little annoying, but I guess they love it. I wish the crowds at these games were a little bigger, these UFA games, because club teams, you can look at a game that's in the, that would be the equivalent of like a AA baseball game in this country, and they've got 35,000 people and the place is completely packed in these other countries. I mean, I watched a game recently in the Bundesliga 2, the second level of German football, and those people were going out of their minds, and there was not deceit to be had in that stadium. I mean, they were so into it.
Anyway, singing, smoke rising. No, it's crazy that it seems like what you just said, the quote-unquote second division or minor leagues, draw better than, they call them the selection, the Sellies, the selection team, their country's team. I can't figure it out. And these friendlies, I can't get really excited about. But you do really well
at friendlies. This is an actual competition. But the thing is, this competition goes on for like years. It's basically like it's not qualifying for the World Cup either. It's separate from the World Cup. World Cup qualifying is something completely different.
That's right. That's another morale.
I mean, there have been some great games. Don't get me wrong. And this one right here, I mean, this one, I have a feeling that this place is packed in Greece right now. And it's interesting because they're playing England and they just played in England and Greece beat them. It was like this huge upset. So now everybody's at the Olympic Stadium in Athens and they're going wild. And the thing was, they said the last time they played a game in the Olympic Stadium, the national team, it was against Kosovo, and they had like 1,500 people. And today they have 70,000. So 70,000 people. Anyway, it's all about halftime there, so get ready. Okay, so I got to go with international play. I got to go with the UFA. Not into the North and South America CONCACAF that much. So anyway, I'm looking at a game on Saturday. It's a game between Denmark and Spain, and the Danes are at home. And they're decided underdog in that game. Spain's a pretty solid favorite. and I am going to go with a draw in that game. Plus 220, Denmark at home to play Spain tough, which I believe they will. Anyway, so that's it for kickball.
All right. Well, y'all do well in kickball. I can attest to that. You had a couple victories for me that otherwise brought me out of the depths of a losing day. And all our fans out there or people just interested, I would tune in to New Jersey Dave, especially in the Premier League, Serie A in Italy. You do really well. But like you say, you got to have the momentum when these teams are playing, when these club teams are playing. And home field advantage is huge, especially in these second division that you're talking about, because the places are packed.
Yeah, home field in European soccer seems to be way more important than any of our professionals and even college sports here. It really makes a big, big difference. All right, so you got anybody in college? Speaking of college football, you got anybody in college football for like Thursday, Friday games? Because I don't.
Tonight I do. We're gonna talk a little college hoops later. I know it's just opening up with that. We still gotta, get our feelings. We got our feelings hurt by a Duke the other day. But
I told you I flip-flopped on that game. I went Kentucky. Sorry.
Yes, I know you did. You did. Now we're gonna arm wrestle. You help me out. All the way leveling was on Duke. What about St. Joe's against Villanova? They went out right. Yeah, you had that one called. And you also had Michigan State, who should have covered at the end. We lost by a point in that one.
I mean, I'm not upset with the way anybody played or officiating or anything. I'm a little bit upset with why that line was so low.
Yeah,
if we should have been getting a few more points, and if we had, we would have won.
We would have won. You would have had the triple. And I know you're the parlay king. Well, I'm going to run right into tonight. It's a really high spread, and I hate laying all these points, but I'm taking the East Carolina Pirates tonight, laying 14.5 on the road against Tulsa. I know. Am I crazy or what? But I just think East Carolina,
A little.
Yeah, maybe a little on the loco senor. They just outclassed Tulsa. They're 3-2, 5-4, 3-2 conference, 5-4 overall. They played a much tougher schedule, and Tulsa's kind of like a bottom feeder. I think East Carolina's kind of coming into their own. They're on the road. It's going to be tough, but I see them winning by 3 touchdowns. Tonight, East Carolina Pirates laying 14.5.
Yeah, my only quarrel with it would be the big number on the road. I just never do it. I went with the Lions the other night on the road and lost by the hook, and I'm still kicking myself because I never do that. Never take a road favorite. Took one, lost. Okay. All right, but I do see what you're talking about there. Tulsa has been pretty kind of pathetic this year. But the one thing that would scare me is, a little road trip there. Check the weather.
We'll see what happens. We're okay in Tulsa.
Late season college, the weather in these big spread games, that could be a great equalizer. I was looking at Chicago weather for that Northwestern Ohio State game, but it's supposed to be nice. So I was thinking about maybe getting a little weather there, but no, weather is not going to help Northwestern there. So I'm staying away from that one. Okay, so I'm up.
You are, my friend.
I am looking on Saturday, early game. This used to be a great rivalry, but you got to be old as dirt like me to remember this. Back in late 60s, early 70s, Arkansas and Texas. Great rivalry. Lou Holtz was the coach of Arkansas in those days. Darrell Royal was the coach.
They've given me Johnson for me.
Great games. And I am even though these guys really let me down recently, where they just got smoked by Ole Miss. I'm just kind of looking at Texas as they're sort of regressing a little bit. They don't seem to be playing nearly as well as they were at the very beginning of the season. Taking Arkansas at home, plus the 13 against Texas, which still is a very big game. Maybe more so for Arkansas than Texas. And now that Texas is in the SEC, they're back with their old friends from the Southwest Conference. See how many people remember the Southwest Conference. I doubt very many.
Old as dirt.
Arkansas at home, +13 against Texas.
Yeah, it's coming down a little bit. And for that reason, they're still a tough team. We now know, I was on Ole Miss in the beginning of the season, then they let me down. They're coming back. They got a great D. So that's not necessarily a bad loss there. But Texas
look a little better, right? And Ole Miss is looking kind of serious these days.
Exactly. And Arkansas has it out of this mind schedule. They're so tough.
There's a few teams that can say all these teams in the SEC. I mean, now you had they keep talking about these like, oh, this is elimination game. Well, now Georgia has another one. I mean, they went eliminated last week ago. Ole Miss, I'm not
Tennessee, another. Yeah,
they kind of play another one. So yeah, just a brutal league to be in right now, with all these guys who not necessarily were doormats. Well, maybe at one time or another they were, but all these other schools like Mississippi, Tennessee was great for years and years, but they've been down for a very long time. And now this year, they've come back and pretty good this year. Although I'm going against them. Okay. So, what's your next pick?
I'm going with the Battle of Texas. You say Battle of Texas, Texas A&M, Texas. You give me AT&T. I'm going with the North Texas Mean Green versus the University of Texas, San Antonio. We're going with the North against the South.
I have a question.
Texas. Yes.
I have a question. Is Kathy Ireland still the kicker for North Texas State? You know what I'm referring to?
Gotta love that movie. Beautiful. Leave the Ireland, the gorgeous lass that she is. I do not know that, but I do.
Didn't bet down the D-line?
The Mean Green just gave that Army juggernaut a battle. Okay, 15-3, but they had a couple of shootouts against division leaders Memphis and Tulane. They've been blowing out these lower division teams, and I considered UTSA as lower division. Why? It's only -1. It's practically a pick 'em. I like North Texas to go south, cruise into San Antonio and get the victory. Lay the point for the Battle of Texas. Take the Mean Green over the Roadrunners.
Love it. Love that pick. Those Roadrunners now, there's been certain seasons, I don't know if this is one of them, but recently where they score a lot of points.
They do. Yeah. Usually against 4 teams, and it could be a shootout. It's going to be a fun game. And UTSA has been really good. University of Texas San Antonio has been good to me this year, but I'm going against them on Friday night. That's tomorrow night.
And if you think there is the potential for a shootout in a game in college football, it's funny how often there'll be like a defensive struggle like they had last week with Army. Now they play against a team that really doesn't have a tough D. Maybe they have a bunch of offense, and all of a sudden this is going to be it's going to look like 2 different teams.
The total,
come out on top.
That you've
I mean, they covered easily against Army.
Yes. And look at the total, 72.5. So you talk about a shootout.
Yeah.
Get comfortable.
I'm looking at another one. This is almost strictly a bet from a spread standpoint. I get it. I mean, I was down on Missouri at the beginning of the year. I was not they're a top 10 to all this other bullshit. I was not a believer in Missouri at all. But now, and I get it, South Carolina's been pretty good to me. They've covered a few games against some of the big boys for me. But they ain't 14 points better than Missouri. I'm sorry, they're not. So I'm going with the Tigers. I'm going with the Tigers.
Missouri actually played well last week.
Yeah. And with the backup quarterback, I'm fine with him. That guy, he has experience, played a little bit for Notre Dame, et cetera, et cetera. So, I'm taking Missouri +14 against South Carolina. And, I mean, if South Carolina can continue this surge that they're having at the end of the year, God love them. There's another team that's stepping up in the SEC, and it's making that league so impossible to negotiate the schedule. I mean, God forbid one of these teams really was one of these teams that was trying to be undefeated and have a perfect season, win the national championship and all this and that. I don't think they can pull it off, no matter how good they were. if this was like a really good version of Alabama or Georgia, which it's not, but if it was, they'd still have a hard time getting through this schedule. They'd have 1 week on the road when the other team played well and they didn't play so well. And you're going to lose that game in this league. Definitely. So
I like it. Yeah. I've been on Missouri on and off. They broke my heart a couple times, but I did have them last week, and 2 touchdowns on the road. I like it. Take it.
too much.
Well, we're going to continue barking. I'm going to take a home dog. I'm going to take the Pittsburgh Panthers, University of Pittsburgh Panthers against Clemson. Look, they're home. Okay. They dropped, they got wiped up by SMU, and both of us are impressed by SMU. They got a strong program over there, and they knocked out Pittsburgh to knock off their undefeated season. Then there was a little hiccup with a couple of late second half turnovers against Virginia. I think Pittsburgh rights the ship. You're getting 11.5 at home. Clemson is totally overrated. They didn't get on board with the NIL, and I think it shows. I'm taking Pittsburgh plus 11.5 at home against Clemson.
I like that pick. You are aware of the quarterback situation, right, with Pitt?
I am. I'm sure that's why the number, but
It's part of it. But their backup's good. Very good. Their backup can play, so that always helps. When there isn't some kind of crazy drop-off, which you often see in college, like God forbid you got a lot of money on a team, and their quarterback gets hurt during the game, and then they bring in some kid who is just not ready to play the position, or he's a completely different kind of quarterback who isn't really suited to the kind of offense that they're running. They're going to be like, okay, now all of a sudden they're going to run the ball every play. And it's like, well, if you're behind, and your throwing quarterback just got hurt and you bring in a runner, you might be in a little bit of trouble. Anyway, but I think in the case of Pitt, that their backup can actually play a little bit. And I was looking at that game, definitely looking at that game, thinking that that's an inflated spread. Everybody's all psyched about Clemson's quarterback, as a matter of fact, right now. And I wish Pittsburgh was a little stingier on defense, because I think they could make this guy revert to, early in the season when he's throwing picks all over the place. He started to clean his game up a lot lately, and, Clemson has been the better for it. I'm definitely looking at Pittsburgh as a good team, nice home dog, couple of crappy games in a row. Hopefully they can, backs to the wall, stand up, play these guys, play them tough.
Keep it tough. Clemson, a couple of weeks ago, lost to Louisville at home. Okay, they went into Virginia Tech. They won by 10 points, but they really haven't been overwhelming. And I'm looking at their schedule. They played Georgia. They lost 34-3 in the first game. But other than that, they really haven't played anybody tough. And I think Pittsburgh, is in the same league. Their quarterback's now, new quarterback, whatever. Their backup's got a full week of practice now. They looked a little rusty last week for sure. But we'll take Pitt plus 11.5.
All right. My next one, well, you might have the other side of this game. This is one of your teams I'm going against. So I'm going to try to really into this one. I'm actually, now this one, kind of looking at this one a little bit as sort of schedule dynamics for the team that I'm going against.
All right.
I am taking San Jose State. Oh, it's 13.5 against Boise State.
I looked at that game. That's a beautiful game. I love that.
I mean, Boise didn't look all that good last week against the Cardinals. I think they were kind of fortunate to get out of there against UNLV with a win. It's been a little while since they look really good, because San Diego State I don't think counts. They're pretty bad this year. Obviously, we both felt that Boise should have beaten Oregon, and that would have changed the whole college football season. we'd be talking about completely different things right now. We'd be talking about Boise State maybe being number one. I mean, not in the they wouldn't be in the rankings or anything, but just maybe being the best team. If they could have won that game, as we felt they should have won that game. I'm looking at this as they're coasting.
This is their season.
Coasting, yeah. They're coasting to the end of the season. They're getting ready for that playoff. They almost know they're going to be in it. I just think this is a San Jose State team that can be a little sneaky here. I think there's a reason why it's not a gigantic line, that they feel like they can at least stay on the field with them. 13.5. Be nicer if it was 14. 14.5 be even better. We'll see what happens by the time the game goes off, because right now all the betting is on Boise. I'm taking San Jose State plus 13.5 against Boise State.
I like that pick as well. I would wait, until kickoff, try to get it up to 2 touchdowns or more. Look at San Jose State at home. They play very well at home. They beat a tough Nevada squad at home. They crushed Wyoming at home. They beat Oregon State at home. Okay, these are, average teams. But this is a program that has really turned around, because San Jose State was a laughing stock. Why? Yeah, they actually. I like that pick. All right, Dave, you know where I'm going. My BYU Cougars are only laying 2.5. They're hosting a team that, you were talking about that you say might have a little bit of shot here. But I think BYU squeaked out. They escaped kind of a suspect victory over interstate rival Utah. They needed a no call to actually beat a non-covering victory. They got great D. They forced turnovers in 6 straight games. They're second in the nation in interceptions. Yeah, they're playing a tough Kansas squad, they're playing their 3rd straight ranked opponent. I just think BYU knows that they escaped last week. They're 9-0. In order to get into the 12-team championship, as in college right now, I think they have to run the table. I think they're going to be really up for this game. Kansas, comes in 3-6, 2-4. Really, stat-wise, they don't look like much, but they hang around. And they got a great quarterback who played a great game last week against Iowa State, and they upset Iowa State. But I think BYU is up for this, and I think Kansas regresses a little bit on the road. Take BYU minus 2.5. I imagine, you're talking easy money. Are they going to print money in Vegas? I imagine the world's on it. That's a real sneaky spread, of course.
I did take that into consideration, and that's one reason why you need to get ready to make your last college pick, because my 4th pick is Kansas plus 2.5 against BYU. I'm waiting to see. We're a long way from this happening, right? We're a long way from what I'm about to say actually occurring. But let me take a look here.
Take a quick peek there, David.
Which they were a top 20 team preseason. I think all the polls pretty much had them having a good squad, a good season last year. Came in, stumbled a little bit out of the gate. I think they've got their footing now. I mean, yeah, look at them. Oh my God.
5 in a row they lost.
That was unreal. And some of those
games, like you pointed out.
How are you losing these guys? Yeah, all close games, but all teams, well, maybe with the exception of Illinois, that they should have beaten. And Vegas is pretty good this year. But yeah, it was just a strange run. It's a really strange run. Then they got it together. Then they covered and played a very tight game against a very good Kansas State team. Then they were kicking Iowa State's butt last week. That score, not really indicative to me, because I watched a lot of the game, not indicative of how that game was played. Iowa State got some meaningless shit at the end. I think Kansas, sort of dominated that game. Is this going to show is BYU for real? I'd say this is a good test. What I was going to say is that early in the season, or no? Oh no, excuse me. It would be all right. Let's just extrapolate this a little bit. They beat 17th ranked Iowa State last week. They are only a 2.5 point underdog in this game, which means, according to the odds makers, they have a very good chance to win this game. And I think they will. Then next week, they play my beloved Colorado Buffaloes, who are currently ranked 15th. And if they win this week, they're going to be maybe a little higher than that. Kansas has a chance to beat 3 consecutive ranked teams and play another ranked team also consecutively and lose that game by 2 points and not make a bowl game. I promise you, if they pull this off, they will be the first team to ever have done that. To beat 3 ranked teams and with that bonus of the 2-point loss to Kansas State and not make a bowl game because of those horrendous losses at the beginning of the season and then the 2-point loss to Kansas State. And they don't have enough games. I don't think they have enough games to be bowl. Oh, no, they do. I guess they would be bowl eligible. Shit, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because they'd be 6-6 if they win their last 3. Or they could beat both BYU and Colorado and then lose to Baylor at Baylor last week of the season. And then they would make a bowl game. Anyway, well, a very strange season for Kansas State.
Yeah,
but I think is talented. They do have good QB. That kid is exciting. He really is. And BYU better be. All I can say is your BYU Cougars better be on their game this week or they're going to lose.
Better bring their A game.
Fairly darn split is telling you that.
Yeah.
If BYU is at home and they're not even getting a field goal, which means odds makers are saying on a neutral field, very, very teeny tiny edge to Kansas.
Well, your quarterback who you're referring to, Daniels, he set I think season highs last week against Iowa State, who I think is overrated. But anyway, having said that,
they were overrated before last week. Now everybody knows.
295 in the air, 68 on the ground. I just think this is too much of them. And I know your Buffs, they're rooting for Kansas as well because BYU is sitting on top. Buffalo's right behind them in conference, 5-1, 7-2. BYU 6-0, 9-0. Definitely a lot different than everybody thought, thinking that Kansas State and Kansas were going to be on top and Iowa State, but they're not. It's BYU, Colorado. You're not bring their A game. They're going to bring their D. And like you say, I'll jump right into my last pick, which is going to be the Tennessee Volunteers. I'm going against Georgia, who I've been on all this year and covering, except for last week. Thank you very much. I'm going to take Tennessee. I've already got them at 11.5 because their quarterback, yes, no, maybe. I don't care. Take them at 11.5. Take the 9.5. They got the defense to get it done. Georgia's on the ropes right now. They're really struggling offensively. There's no way. I'm not going to take 11.5 points. I know it's in Georgia, and I'm having a hesitation going against the Bulldogs, but I think they could keep them within a touchdown. Take your Tennessee Volunteers and take the points.
Dude, we're going to have to rip through the pros. I'm on Georgia.
Okay.
And that is almost purely not because of the way the team is playing. That is almost purely because of the number. I mean, that is such a big number. These two teams, I smell a rat, and I don't take big favorites, especially against good teams. But I'm taking Georgia. Minus 9.5 over Tennessee. I smell a rat. Okay, moving out of in the last 10 minutes.
Jumping right into the pros. Let's go tonight. I'm on fraud alert. For all my picks, I'm on fraud alert. Philly, fraud. Take the 4. Take the 4 and laugh all the way to the bank.
All right, I'm with you. Do we have to explain anything? I mean, obviously, Washington's having a good season. Even their losses have been pretty good.
No doubt. Last week,
obviously,
idiot went offside.
I mean, should they have won? They were at home. Yeah. Maybe they should have. Maybe Pittsburgh's a little bit better. Certainly better than I thought. But anyway, I don't think we have to say that. I will say one thing. There was a game last year, and Washington had horrible season. It was fairly early in the year, I'd say like maybe 5-6 games into the season, where Washington had them beat. I mean, beat. And there were a couple of horrendous calls at the end of the game that went Philly's way. I think they're still burned over that game, that's still bothering them from last year. I think they go out there tonight. I think they handle these guys. I really do. I like Washington quite a bit. All right.
Okay.
Who's next?
More fraud alert, Pittsburgh. Baltimore Ravens given 3 on the road. I know, terrible road teams. They really don't cover by that much. But this is a statement game for the Ravens. I think they shut down Wilson. They're going to have to because Pittsburgh defense is pretty tough at home. But another fraud alert. Take the Ravens minus the points, beating Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh.
And I want to go back to college for a second because I looked at these spreads this afternoon in the Georgia-Tennessee game. I had that at 9.5 on DraftKings.
Yes.
Okay. I thought you were talking 11 or something.
I got it 11.5 early.
Oh, and now it's way down?
Yes.
That's all you got. They're taking Tennessee. They're all taking Tennessee. All right, beautiful.
But a middle that
Been slid. As soon as you say 3,
I got this one at 3.5.
all right.
And I'm on Pittsburgh.
All right.
I've been against them all year. And I am in the if you can't beat them, join them mode. I'm going with the Steelers plus 3.5 against Baltimore. I just think they're finding ways to get it done. And Russell's playing a little bit better than I thought he would. So maybe he didn't like the mile high air or something. But he looks like a different guy. I mean, he was so bad for the Broncos. All right. Yeah.
that's why I just went. You're up again.
Fraud alert, Buffalo. They can't beat the Chiefs. Trend is a trend till it's a trend, till it's not a trend. There's my buddy, my New York Mets fan, in my ear. Take the 2 points on the road. There's no way that Josh Allen could beat Patrick Mahomes. Not yet. Not till I see it. Take it. Buffalo fraud alert.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one. I didn't go anywhere near. I looked at it, but I didn't go anywhere near that game. Okay, so my next game is going to be okay, so we got 2, we got 3 more, and we are down. Okay, we got to hustle here a little bit. I am going with a team that's in a little bit of turmoil right now. Coaching changes. Everybody's pissed at everybody. Pathetic against New England. I'm looking at the Chicago Bears at home. We have 5.5 against Green Bay Packers.
Well, I'll just jump to the other side. Sorry, brother, but I'll take that.
Pizza. You got a lot of pizzas on the line.
Yes, exactly. It'll be Mike McKee, and that ownership is a joke. They're a bunch of frauds. They really haven't supported any of their quarterbacks, from Bobby Douglas to Vince Evans.
The kid's gonna stand up and do something.
I'm rooting for him, but not with his cast. I'm going against you theirs. I'm taking the Packers.
Okay, so I got that one out of the way.
All right, go ahead, my friend.
Now it's my turn again. Fraud alert. Been calling him a fraud for weeks now. Still calling him a fraud. Minnesota Vikings taking my Tennessee Titans. Oh, my man, Will Levis getting his feet under himself.
Is he coming back?
Past couple games, playing a little better. Not great. A little better than he was, which was awful. Anyway, I'm taking Tennessee at home plus 6 against Minnesota. That is not so much an endorsement of the Tennessee Titans, who are a pretty bad football team. It is more I see Minnesota and Sam Darnold sliding into the abyss. So I'm taking Tennessee plus 6.
All right. I like that. I'm going against a team that we've loved these last couple weeks. And I'm saying that the Chargers, hasn't really faced a strong offense since the Cardinals 3 weeks ago. Saints, Browns, Titans, they've crushed them. There's no Joe Burrow on those teams. So Joe Burrow's going into San Diego. This is a must win for Cincinnati. They have to win on the road in L.A. Former San Diego. God love you. Those lightning bolts, Lance Ulward, John Hadel. I'm taking the Bengals plus 1.5. There's a sneaky spread for you. I know Herbert's having a career year.
But again, I think that's a good game, and people understand it. Cincinnati's not as bad as their record looks, and maybe the Chargers aren't quite as good. So that is a tough. Boy, I looked at that game, and God love you, I couldn't figure it out. That's a hard one.
I'm going with the
You
Bengals.
like the Bengals. All right. Who they say going to beat them Bengals? Remember, you heard it here first. The Saints stole that chant from Cincinnati. Everybody in Cincinnati knows that. And it's because of Huda Pole beer, which they call Houdays.
What are you drinking today there, David? I see it.
Well, this is an unofficial sponsor. They're a sponsor of the show, but they just don't know it yet. And that is right here up in Michigan. This is the Centennial IPA. This is fantastic stuff. Best deal in the liquor store. You get a 15-pack for the price of, basically for the price of Coors, Budweiser, our crap. Anyway, Founders, Michigan, we got to get on the horn with those guys. Tell them how much we love the Lions, and they're going to win the Super Bowl, and their beer is great, and they should send us money to put our show on. All right. The 2-minute and 40-second warning.
All right, let's talk real quick.
You on to your last? I got one more.
Bring me your last because I've already picked 5. Give me your last
It's
one.
going to be 3 weeks in a row. I don't get to make my last pick because,
Talk to me.
jokes and singing and everything else.
Hey, Jesus. I kept it in check this week. Denver.
What do you mean, you Mile High Magic? Atlanta, Claude, kind of playing some softies lately, fattening up on some crappy teams. Denver at home, good defense. Obviously, a work in progress with the offense. A little dinged up on the quarterback side for the Atlanta Falcons. So I'd love it if he didn't play at all. But even if he does, I think Denver will get after him. If he's got some aches and pains, they're going to make him feel it. They're going to get to him a couple of times. I like Denver -2.5, and again -2.5. They're telling you something there. Falcons are in Denver.
I was talking about the fraud alert. There's a fraud team for you. Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, I hope so.
I think so, David.
Yeah.
Anything on the is ND playing Army this week?
Not to my knowledge, no.
When is that game?
No, there's a good
Notre Dame is hosting
Navy game. That's a good game that neither one of us picked. That Navy Tulane game. That's gonna be a good one. I like Navy there, obviously because they're getting the points. But Lane's having a great season. They're in the top 20.
All right, David. End of another week.
Countdown. You ready?
And next week we're going to be talking a little college hoop. College.
All right, we'll start talking about college basketball. But anyway, all right, all your bets be winning ones. Everybody, good luck, and we'll talk to you next week.
Cash and tickets with Dave&Dave.